Hello, hello. Thank you for joining me. This is my fourth day sharing vocal readings from the 18th book in my A Book a Week series, Eckhart Tolle's A New Earth. What Eckhart Tolle shares in this section of the book is incredibly practical guidance for how to open awareness and presence in the moments when the pain body is triggered in our systems. Those moments can be incredibly acute. Those moments can feel so compelling. And what we are compelled by in those moments is our unprocessed grievances. So how then to open awareness, to open presence, to open space around our suffering when the pain body is triggered? This is what Tolle so exquisitely guides us to in this section of the book. Without further ado, I'll get to the readings. Enjoy.
Page 161. The pain body in most cases does not dissolve immediately, but once you have severed the link between it and your thinking, the pain body begins to lose energy. Your thinking ceases to be clouded by emotion. Your present perceptions are no longer distorted by the past. The energy that was trapped in the pain body then changes its vibrational frequency and is transmuted into presence. In this way, the pain body becomes fuel for consciousness. This is why many of the wisest, most enlightened men and women on our planet once had a heavy pain body. Here I'm pulling in a quote from Book 17, Thich Nhat Hanh's Touching Peace, to add some texture. This is page 8. The more we have suffered in the past, the stronger a healer we can become. We can learn to transform our suffering into the kind of insight that will help our friends in society. We do not have to die to enter the kingdom of heaven. In fact, we have to be fully alive. When we breathe in and out and hug a beautiful tree, we are in heaven. When we take one conscious breath, aware of our eyes, our heart, our liver, and our non-toothache, we are transported to paradise right away. Peace is available. We only have to touch it. And now I've transitioned back to A New Earth. We're looking at page 163. In the greater scheme of things, human beings are meant to evolve into conscious beings, and those who don't will suffer the consequences of their unconsciousness. They are out of alignment with the evolutionary impulse of the universe. And even that is only relatively true. From a higher perspective, it is not possible to be out of alignment with the evolution of the universe. And even human unconsciousness and the suffering it generates is part of that evolution. When you can't stand the endless cycle of suffering anymore, you begin to awaken. So the pain body too has its necessary place in the larger picture. I've looped this quote in so many times to texture other readings. This is Alan Watts from his audio, Ecological Awareness. There is no need to possess it. You are it. And by trying to possess it, you imply that you are not. So, by trying to catch hold of it, you, as it were, push it away. Although you can't really push it away, because the very pushing is all it, you see? Page 172. When you recognize that the present moment is always already the case, and therefore inevitable, you can bring an uncompromising inner yes to it. And so not only create no further unhappiness, but with inner resistance gone, find yourself empowered by life itself. Page 176. I'm going to read this slowly. It's powerful. The power of allowing lies in non-interference, non-doing. Being present is always infinitely more powerful than anything one could say or do. Continuing the train of thought about the power of presence, on page 177, the thinking mind cannot understand presence and so will often misinterpret it. It will say that you are uncaring, distant, have no compassion, or not relating. The truth is, you are relating, but at a level deeper than thought and emotion. In fact, at that level, there's a true coming together, a true joining that goes far beyond relating. In the stillness of presence, you can sense the formless essence in yourself and in the other as one. Knowing the oneness of yourself and the other is true love, true care, true compassion. 181. Whenever you get taken over by the pain body, whenever you don't recognize it for what it is, it becomes part of your ego. Whatever you identify with turns into ego. The pain body is one of the most powerful things the ego can identify with, just as the pain body needs the ego to renew itself through it. That unholy alliance, however, eventually breaks down in those cases where the pain body is so heavy that the egoic mind structures, instead of being strengthened by it, are becoming eroded by the continuous onslaught of the pain body's energy charge. In the same way that an electronic device can be empowered by an electric current, but also destroyed by it if the voltage is too high. Here we're on page 182, reaching a point that is very important to me in my work. The doorways that are available to us in crisis moments. Some people may feel, as I did, that they cannot live with themselves anymore. Inner peace then becomes their first priority. Their acute emotional pain forces them to disidentify from the content of their minds and the mental emotional structures that give birth to and perpetuate the unhappy me. They then know that neither their unhappy story nor the emotion they feel is who they are. They realize they are the knowing, not the known. Rather than pulling them into unconsciousness, the pain body becomes their awakener, the decisive factor that forces them into a state of presence. And here I'm skipping down on page 182. The next step in human evolution is not inevitable, but for the first time in the history of our planet, it can be a conscious choice. Who is making that choice? You are. And who are you? Consciousness that has become conscious of itself. Page 183, the bottom. Not projecting the old emotion into situations means facing it directly within yourself. It may not be pleasant, but it won't kill you. Your presence is more than capable of containing it. The emotion is not who you are. On page 184. You can't argue with what is. Well, you can, but if you do, you suffer. Through allowing, you become what you are, vast, spacious. You become whole. You are not a fragment anymore, which is how the ego perceives itself. Your true nature emerges, which is one with the nature of God. The following passage, Eckhart Tolle's tone reminds me of Jiddu Krishnamurti. I very much enjoy this direct tone. I think that Alan Watts makes a similar argument in a playful, gentle way in his audio talk, The Middle Way. I highly recommend that. But I also think that this direct tone has great value. This is on page 188. If peace is really what you want, then you will choose peace. If peace mattered to you more than anything else, and if you truly knew yourself to be spirit rather than a little me, you would remain non-reactive and absolutely alert when confronted with challenging people or situations. You would immediately accept the situation and thus become one with it, rather than separate yourself from it. Then, out of your alertness would come a response. Who you are, consciousness, not who you think you are, a small me, would be responding. It would be powerful and effective and would make no person or situation into an enemy. Page 189. This is the quote that I'm going to conclude with for today. You are not the ego. So, when you become aware of the ego in you, it does not mean you know who you are. It means you know who you are not. But it is through knowing who you are not that the greatest obstacle to truly knowing yourself is removed.
My hope is that by playfully bouncing between the expression patterns of different scholars, I can help to open up spaces of awareness and recognition about this ancient wisdom that is not coming from outside of you, but is already inside of you. I think waiting to be triggered. I'm sure for many of you, that triggering began long ago. I thank you for sharing in this curriculum with me. It's an absolute joy. My greatest wish is to communicate outwardly as widely as possible. May all beings be peaceful and know that we are loved.